Welcome back. In today's video, we're going to talk about using scope. It's going to be a really quick video, and we're going to use our last video of creating a failure email, and we're going to use that, and we're going to demonstrate how you can use a scope. All right, let's go ahead and just jump right in. Now, like I mentioned in the last video, we set up this flow here, and it's a very simple flow. You could actually do more complicated things, and I've set those up before, and in my opinion, you don't end up using them. So for example, you can actually send specific action information about what failed in the email also if you wanted to, but a lot of times I've found when you get that information, you just hit the button to look at the actual flow and debug it there. So I didn't cover that, but it is possible to include more information about what actions fail. It's easier when you use the scope, which is part of the reason why I wanted to do the scope in this video. If there's people that want to see how to set this up with the action by action, what actually failed, I can demonstrate that, but I don't think most people would actually use it. It sounds really interesting when you first do it and you get it set up, but like I said, most of the time you just click the link and actually just go debug and figure out what the problem was with the flow. But that's always an option as well. Now for scope, it's not much different. We're just going to add a step here, and all we're going to do is find our scope option. And what do you use scope for, you might be asking? And usually what you want to use scope for is grouping the different actions related to whatever the action is into one thing. So if you've got a lot of different steps in your flow, you can break them down and group them together. Now, the exception is you can't put anything in here that like initialize a variable. You can't do that inside of a scope. You have to do that outside of a scope. But then all the individual actions, maybe you're getting user information or org information, and you've got a multi-step process, and you want to put all of those related steps together. That's the perfect use case for scope. Another great example is in this situation here, where really we've got these three things that are all part of the same process of just sending an email to the individual. And then this final step here is just making sure that the actual flow is indicated as failed. So now that we've got our scope, and a lot of people will say use try and catch. I don't typically name my scopes that way. I would just call this scope here, if I was to rename this, failure processing. And then if I had another scope up here, it'd be whatever that particular scope happened to be. That's normally how I do things. But now what we're going to do is we're going to change this a little bit here. So for this action here, again, our condition is very simple. It's basically equal to true. And on our trigger flow here, we've got a yes, no. And in the case of yes, it failed. In the case of no, it did not fail, so we succeed. And if we come down here, we've got to terminate, and this termination is succeeding. Now for this side, all we have to do is move these elements down to here. So we'll start with just moving these down. And there we go. Now we've got these three into here. Now we still need to make this fail. So we're going to go ahead and add a compose in here. And we're going to have an expression in here. And all we're going to say is an integer. And then we're going to put is forced failure. And when it tries to convert text into an integer, it will fail automatically. So that's all we have to do to make that fail. So this side will fail. This side will be successful and end. Now we only want this to run when this has failed. So we have to go ahead and select this and change our settings here. And we want to make sure that it is run when it's failed. In this case, we'll do has timed out. Sometimes you want to do is skipped. It just kind of depends on how you set this up. Now, if you've got multiple things running here, for example, you might want this to run if the previous scope has been skipped or the previous step in that scope has been skipped. So you want to configure these to match what the conditions are. Now, in this case, this will often succeed, and we don't want this to run. And we only want it to run if basically this side has timed out, and that might actually be fine for this side if it was designed and this was anything more than just a failing flow. That's really all this thing is designed to do, is to fail, so we can demonstrate this is how it works. Now, since we've got this set up here, we are ready to give this a try. So let's go ahead and hit the test button here, and we'll do our manual save and test, and then we'll go ahead and make it so that it fails, and then we're going to run our flow. And we'll hit done here. And what we should see is it comes down through here, this side, and then ends up down here. And if we go ahead and expand this, we can see that it did exactly what we expected. This failed to complete, and that allowed for the rest of our flow to run. Now, it really is just that easy to use a scope. And again, you can have as many scopes as you want. You can put as many steps in each of these, and you can nest scopes. So you could put a failure processing, for example. You create this process here, and you can put it in each of your scopes and then configure it to run after. And if it fails, then just make sure that you set up all of your future configure run afters to work correctly. But that's a great way to send an email for a specific step that breaks. Again, I don't typically include actions, but if I can and the flow allows for it, I will indicate which branch, which scope failed. So when I open it up, I know exactly which scope I'm looking for to troubleshoot and figure things out. Especially in this new interface, I tend to think that the old interface is easier for debugging, even though this one tends to give you more information and it's just easier to work with. In terms of, I can very quickly look at this here, and I can look at the raw outputs much easier for how this is set up versus the classic version. But again, lots of configurations, lots of options. Think of your scope. If you're thinking about Power Apps, for example, it's kind of like a container. You're putting everything inside of a container just to make it easier to debug. So I can collapse this entire scope here. And in this case, I've got the benefit of a condition, and now I've got 3 things that I can look at. And it's very easy to identify where the failure is here. And then I can take a look at this and see that everything was completed out here. And I can see that it was terminated, and I can see that that termination was a failure. And that's more for just looking at all the different flows in order, so I can see which ones failed versus which ones succeeded. But again, I typically just rely on the email to let me know that a flow has failed, and then provide any of the information necessary to kind of help get that up and running as quick as possible. And in some cases, rerun the flow just to make sure that all the necessary steps have been completed. Now, don't forget, if you like this kind of content, hit the like and subscribe. It does help the channel grow. That's pretty much it for today's content. Hopefully you found it helpful. Until next time.